Okay, so advantages. So the first is it produces a variety of crops. The legume improves the soil fertility and rotation. So let me rub this. And rotation helps to reduce pest and weed problems. This is the first one. The second one is the residues from one strip can be used as soil cover for neighboring strips. Okay, but here there are some disadvantages. So what are the disadvantages? Let me write down here. Disadvantages. So the first one is like managing, especially strip cropping avoids some of the disadvantages. So disadvantages are actually not there because strip cover, there is intercropping. Managing the single crop within the strips is much easier. Okay, and competition between the crops is also reduced. So that is why there is no disadvantages for this kind of system, which is like stir cropping, because here what has happened is the competition is reduced and the strips are easily maintained by managing the single crop, and hence there is no competition also. Coming to the next one, yes, just let me clear this. Yes, we will talk about is relay cropping. Okay, so here I will talk about example is planting maize, then sowing beans between the maize rows 4 weeks later. So relay cropping is a process of growing one crop, then planting another crop. So usually it's a cover crop. So let me mention this also. Usually a cover crop in the same field before harvesting the first. So this helps to avoid competition. Okay, and between the main crop and the intercrop, and it also is used, this field is used for a longer time, since the cover crop usually continues to grow after the main crop is harvested. Okay, so that is why this is like so the advantages. Now let us just quickly wrap up this crop rotation and let us understand what are the advantages and why every country uses crop rotation. So just let me clear this. Okay, so advantages of crop rotation. First one is agriculture conservation. Second, it improves soil structure. Third, it increases soil fertility, and it controls weeds, pests, and diseases. Okay, so this was a very important point. Okay, and that is why also, if you talk about is, this is very important also at the time of when we are talking and advantages of crop rotation, when India is also talking about crop rotation. So you will understand that this is very much useful, and most of the countries, they will all talk about is the crop rotation system. So now if you talk about agriculture, till now what we have covered, let me just tell you in brief. So we spoke about is the historical background and current status, that is the land reforms in India, and I spoke about the situation of Indian agriculture, and then I spoke about the cropping patterns which I was just now explaining you. Now I will talk about something which are the very important issues related to direct and indirect farm subsidies and minimum support systems. Okay, so we will talk about this. So let's talk about the farm subsidies in India. So let me just clear this. Okay, so I had also told you that how subsidies work, and I had told you also in the previous classes also that government intervention is there in the Indian agriculture. So there's a minimum support prices in Indian agriculture which is there. So we will talk about that, okay, first, and we will talk about the government intervention in Indian agriculture. So that is very important. So let me write down here. So the next point I will write here, I'll mention it here, is government intervention in Indian agriculture. Okay, so government intervention in food grain marketing began in the 1960s. As I said, HYV seeds were there, and there was a price assurance, that there was a minimum support prices, and they were giving buffer stocks, more extra stocks were given, and there would be a network of fair shop under the public distribution system. Okay, so the policy was to increase the production and provide food security, and which has been helpful to India in several ways. Okay, so is it like that there was a massive shortage before 1960, so that food crisis is over, and a strong base has been created for grain production and meeting the grain demand. Okay, then prices of basic food items have remained relatively stable. Okay, and the policy has a great or a positive impact from income, and it has led to an economic transformation in the mainly irrigated regions in India. So this is very important. But coming to the disadvantages, so what are the disadvantages? It's like there is a huge tax burden because the government is giving everything free, so the tax burden is there. Okay, and there is an adverse effect on the demand and the consumption pattern of cereals such as wheat, then rice in India. So that is a disadvantage. And then also large quantities of food grains have accumulated in the public stocks. Okay, so high food inflation is also a very major problem, which is because due to the rise in the price of protein based products. Okay, so we do not have the protein based products, are not produced on the large scale. We generally in India mostly we produce is carbohydrates. Protein based products is not there, it's very scarce, and that is why there is a high price demand. Okay, and it's because of the low productivity and low compared to cereals. Okay, so there is a rising burden of food subsidy, and that is a very important, because if compared to other developed countries, India food is cheap, but if you talk about America and all, also compared to their value of money, the food is cheap. Okay, so why? So this is the reason the government needs to intervene in the food grain market. So let us now understand that why is it required. So let's see the first point. To achieve the goal, price stability at the time of bumper harvest or below normal production. Second, to provide a guaranteed price to producer, farmers. Okay, then also to supply, so let me mention this also, to supply food to vulnerable and poor sections at a very low price, at a lower price. So the government has been carrying out this procurement and the storage of food grains, in India since 1960s through mainly two institutions. Okay, so let me talk about those two main institutions where the government is doing this work very nicely. So let's see the first institution. So the government has been carrying out, as I said, the working or the carrying out of procurement and storage of food grains. So let me mention here storage. So storage of food grains done by Government of India by way of two institutions. So let's see the first one. So the first one is CACP. So in the exam, remember that CACP, all these short forms, they will ask you the long terms of it. Okay, so you have to remember all these, short abbreviations. So what is the abbreviation, what is the full form of the CACP? The Commission for Agriculture, Cost and Prices. The second one is pretty famous, you must have heard of this, FCI. So that is the Food Corporation of India. Both are government bodies. Now let me just explain you what is the difference between 1 and 2. So the first one that I said is CACP is used or given a task of suggesting the minimum support prices. And what about Food Corporation of India? So FCI is entrusted the task of procurement. So what is the meaning of procurement? To see from where it can be available. Okay, procurement and storage of food grain. So both are having their individual task. Okay, now the critical aspect of this whole intervention is the price at which the produce is procured from the farmers. Now till the beginning of the economic reforms of for food grains were based entirely on the domestic factors, mainly on the cost of production of the crops. Now those CACP was required to take into consideration the international price situation. So we had to also keep it at par and remember that international price is also going to hit us. This aspect was never given any weight. So now the situation changed completely after 1991 when India embraced the economic reforms. So before the economic reforms there was no changes happening, but after the economic reforms there were changes. Okay, so the new economic policies which were aimed at integrating India with the world economy led to the government interference to reduce the gap between the domestic and the international prices. So there was a rule or an arbitrary increase which led to the MSP policy was increased and there was more and more hike in every crop season. Okay, so the result of this intervention or this new body, it increased the excess production on cereals such as wheat and rice in India, leading to accumulation. So there was always a stock of piling of buffer stocks, and there was always an ever increasing rise in the fiscal burden of the government. But the government was always having a fiscal burden because there was no payment of tax. So that was a major problem which the government had to look after. Okay, so that is very important. These were the issues, because of the buffer stocks also. Okay, so now we will talk about the very important thing is the public distribution system, which is right now very important in the COVID situation also. So just let me clear this. Okay, so I will talk about is public distribution system, very important. It's also called as PDS. Okay, so what is public distribution system? So the PDS is a part of India's agriculture price policy. The agriculture price policy in India has twin objectives. So that means two objectives. Okay, so which is it? Of supporting farmers at the time of bumper, so huge stock of harvesting, so bumper harvest. So in bumper harvest, what happens? The price falls down, okay, due to excess production. So demand is less, supply is more, and also it also helps in supporting poor consumers from price rise by providing them cheap food grains through a network of fair price shops. Now that is also called as ration shops. If you know ration, so everybody has a ration card, and that is, this ration shop is basically subsidized price, okay, in less price. So subsidized is discounted price, and remember subsidized price is a loss to the government. Okay, some more points are also important. So what are the important functions of PDS? So these are the two twin functions I told you. Let me just clear this. The PDS okay makes available fixed quotas of food grains. So what are quotas? They are some kind of charges which you have to levy or you have to pay food grains to poor households through ration shops at a subsidized. So quota is also something like this much of amount you will be able to get it, not more than this. So this is a level that's called as a quota. Okay, in Hindi also that this much of amount, suppose a family of 5 people can get in a month is 3 kilos sugar, 5 kilo rice, and 5 kilo wheat, and 2 kilo dal. So this is a quota, not more than this, not less than this. Okay, no, less you can take but not more than this. Okay, through ration shops at a subsidized ration price. Now this is very important, called. So what is this price called? It is called as issue price. Okay, Now, the original aim of the PDS was to, stabilize the prices and to remove the fluctuations from the food grains market. But later on, the PDS has assumed to be a role of an important and the most significant role is anti-poverty program of the government. Okay. Now, what is the cost of running this PDS? So, let us just see this. So, the cost of running PDS, okay, consists of two major components.